Good afternoon, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Planetary Functions, brought to you by Aries TV 33 and Marley Nadine. So today I wanted to speak on the planet Neptune. Also, I would like to say happy birthday to all my fellow Sagittarius out there. My birthday is tomorrow, the last day of Sagittarius / first day of Capricorn. I am Sagittarius rising, Sagittarius sun, Capricorn moon. And yeah, this season has been very different from me with Saturn being here. But nonetheless, happy birthday to all my Sagittarius out there. This energy has been beautiful. Happy winter solstice tomorrow, which is my birthday. And yeah, let's get into it. So the planetary function that I want to talk about today is the planet Neptune. Neptune is known as the planet of dignity. It is the higher octave of Mercury. And I want you guys to look that up. I'm not going to explain what the higher octave of Mercury means, but I do want you to look it up. That way, like, astrology is about discovering and learning, and so I don't want to just give it all away. You can look that up on your own and figure out what the higher octave of Mercury means, but that is what Neptune is. Neptune is very deeply connected to dreams, illusions, fantasies, and inspiration. Magic is one of the things. Enchantment, and people who have a strong Neptune influence are somewhat spiritually inclined, kind of like in a natural way. Neptune is the ruler, the co-ruler of Pisces, because Pisces is also ruled by Jupiter, but Neptune is the co-ruler of Pisces, and it represents all forms of liquid, including water, including alcohol, and just all forms of liquid. It takes 146 years to circle the whole zodiac, the planet Neptune, because it's one of the further planets from the sun, the 8th to be exact, if I'm right. It's the 4th largest in diameter. It takes 14 years to actually move through each sign, which is why it takes 146 years to complete the zodiac. So a lot of the time, Neptune, you and your peers, people that you grew up with, will all have kind of like Neptune placed in the same thing, because Neptune has a higher, more broader influence on groups and individuals also. Oh, my son just left. Let's see. It's the 3rd most massive, and it's named after the Roman god of the sea, which was Neptune. Okay, so let's get in on the facts, okay? So, Neptune is connected with spiritual entities, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And it's also, with like good, bad, or indifferent, which influences our evolution. So Neptune is one of these kind of like overall shaping us planets. So when in trine with the ascendant, and the ascendant would be your first house. So when Neptune is in trine with the ascendant, you become a person who's involved as a leader or a prominent in the movement along the mystical lines. So anything mystical, you would be prominent with a strong Neptune in your chart. The nature of this planet is visionary, romantic, and practical from a worldly standpoint. If Neptune is strong in your chart, it gives you a vivid imagination, vivid dreams, vivid creative influence. It gives you're inclined to poetic, like whether it's poetic speech, poetic writing, music, anything that's kind of somewhat created and mystified. You have a you know, you're drawn to that, literary studies, and you have a fondness of ease and comfort when it comes to your surroundings. So this is what Neptune does. And for my younger people out there, like, you know, Pharrell had a group, or it was either a record label called Neptune. And once you find out about this kind of stuff, it's interesting, like, because the name Neptune is deeply connected to fantasy, is deeply connected to artistic, you know, pursuits and music and poetry and literary things. So it makes sense. Also, let's see. If you have an afflicted Neptune in your chart, which is another way of saying, like, kind of more of a negative influence of Neptune in your chart, it will usually manifest as people overindulging in drugs and or alcohol. Escapism, like living a secretive life. These are the kind of things that an afflictive Neptune will do in your chart. And it's important to know, like, there is a up and down to everything. You could either have a positive influence or a negative influence based off of, you know, where it's placed in your chart and what, like, if it opposes the sun versus conjuncts the sun, then obviously those energies are conflicting when they're opposing. And if they're conjunct, then they're actually, like, you know, pouring positive energy into each other, or if they're trining or something like that. But miracles can often be formed when the planet is raised to a higher level. But the planet functions with a non-resistant energy. So the less resistant you are to change, or just resistant in general. Like, resistant can mean overthinking something. You know, if you make a decision, just go with it. And if it doesn't go as planned, then kind of just still move with it. But if you're consistently resistant and fighting what is actually happening naturally, then that's when you have an issue, and that's when you won't be blessed by this planet Neptune. Okay? And with the power of Neptune, you can transmute and you can alchemize your life. And what I mean by transmute, that is like me saying that hot and cold is the exact same thing, and there's just different degrees to it. So cold is just a lower degree of hot. Angry is just a lower degree of happy. You know what I'm saying? Hate is a lower degree of love. So you can transmute your situation from negative to positive, or from stuck to creative. You have to basically just kind of harness this energy of Neptune and realize how to use it in your benefit so that you can transmute it for your benefit. Okay, the energy of Neptune works with the energies of the Earth, and with other stellar influences acting as a force of evolutionary growth. So, yeah, it's just saying that Neptune works with the energies of the Earth and in conjunction with the other elements of the world and the stellar influences, which are the stars and the cosmos. So in turn, Neptune works to dissolve the ego by hardening the parts of the egocentric consciousness. So, yeah, the egocentric conscious is not the subconscious. That is like your sun sign. That's where whatever egotistic kind of qualities you get from your sun sign, that's most likely, or your rising. Either way, the sun represents the ego. So, we all do it and we all have it, but once you kind of harden those and let your imagination come in, or let your creativity come in and just kind of like take over, because if you actually let your creativity take over, that is kind of like pushing your ego to the side, because whatever you create or whatever you're proud of, sometimes your ego will tell you that it's not cool or it's not worth doing or something of that nature. So then you push it to the side based off of your ego and just based off trying to be like cool and all this stuff. But basically push that to the side with this Neptune energy and, you know, just use it for the best. In your chart, it points to where you could have problems seen through illusions, as well as your best creative expression. So like I just said, you know, check out your chart and see what it is. And also, don't feel sad if things are afflicted in your chart, because you do have the power to transmute. You always have the power to transmute and to change your situation and to alchemize your situation by, you know, paying attention to the signs and using your abilities to your greatest level to get in turn what you need and what you want. Spiritual influence or directed towards mysticism. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So Neptune has to do with your spirit influences, excuse me. It's directed towards mysticism. The colors connected to it are green, lavender, and blue. The minerals are coral and aquamarine and platinum. The body part is the spinal cord, which is very interesting because, yeah, the spinal cord. That's like, any cord is a connectiveness. Any cord is a creative part of you, that something is coming through, something is, you know, being processed through or whatever. It has to do with dissolving boundaries and expanding ideas, changing established rules. Selenite and